Welcome to my channel Alien Signal. The first thing the observers noticed was the impossibility. Not the human, that part had already been catalogued, studied, and dismissed as biologically unremarkable. Fragile bone structures, inefficient energy consumption, short lifespan, a species governed by limitation. No, the impossibility was the light. It moved wrong. Across the void above the fractured desert world of KHEPRA9, a bolt of plasma tore through the sky like a living spear. White-hot, unstable, screaming through electromagnetic frequencies that no natural formation could sustain. It had been released deliberately, weaponized energy drawn from a collapsing star core, contained and then unleashed as a test. The alien observers had designed it. They floated within their observation vessel, a structure woven from gravitic threads and silent computation. Their forms shimmered in layers of translucent geometry, bodies existing across multiple dimensions at once. They did not speak with sound. They did not need to. This should destroy the subject instantly, one transmitted. Correct. Biological cohesion will not withstand direct plasma interaction. Observe and record. Below them stood the human. Alone. No protective suit. No shielding technology. Just a figure in worn clothing, boots half buried in the cracked ochre soil, staring upward as the bolt descended. The observers had brought the human here as part of a broader experiment. For cycles, they had studied intelligent species across the galaxy, categorizing them based on adaptability, cognitive expansion, and physical limitations. Humans had scored poorly. Primitive, emotional, bound by physical laws, predictable. The plasma bolt should have proven that. Instead, it revealed something else entirely. The human did not run. That was the first anomaly. Most species, when confronted with certain annihilation, exhibited predictable responses: panic, paralysis, or escape. This human did none of those things. Instead, he adjusted his stance, feet grounding into the earth, shoulders squaring as though preparing to meet something, head-on. His name, according to their records, was Elias Varn. Age, 34 cycles. Occupation, former engineer. Psychological profile, resilient, adaptive, but ultimately limited by human constraints. The plasma bolt screamed closer. The air around it distorted violently, warping light and ionizing the atmosphere into streaks of electric blue. The ground beneath Elias began to crack and melt, unable to withstand the energy cascading downward. Impact in 3, 2. Elias raised his hand, not in surrender, not in defense, but in anticipation. From within the observation vessel, a ripple of confusion spread through the collective consciousness of the alien observers. What is he doing? Irrelevant. Impact is inevitable, but even as they transmitted that certainty, something shifted. A subtle deviation. The plasma bolt, which had maintained a perfectly linear descent, flickered. Just for an instant. Then again, as if something, some unseen force, was interfering with its trajectory. Elias could feel it before he saw it. The energy. It wasn't just heat or light, it was pressure. A roaring, overwhelming force pressing down on reality itself. Every instinct in his body screamed that this was impossible, that no human should be able to stand in front of something like this and survive. But Elias had never been good at accepting limits. Not since the accident. Not since the day everything had changed. He took a breath. The world slowed. The plasma bolt descended. And just before it reached him, he caught it. The observers registered the event. They did not understand it. Elias's hand closed around the core of the plasma bolt. Fingers wrapping through energy that should have vaporized him instantly. The moment of contact unleashed a shockwave that split the desert in all directions, sending cracks racing across the planet's surface. But Elias remained standing. The plasma did not explode. It did not dissipate. It stopped, held in place by a human hand. Within the vessel, the observers' collective thought fractured. Impossible. Energy containment without a field generator is not feasible. The human structure cannot withstand that magnitude of force. Yet the evidence unfolded before them in undeniable clarity. Elias stood at the center of a storm of light, the plasma bolt writhing in his grasp like a living thing trying to escape. Arcs of energy lashed out in all directions, carving molten trenches into the ground, but none of it touched him. He was controlling it. Elias gritted his teeth. It hurt. Not physically, not in any way he could describe, but deeper than that. As if the energy was trying to tear him apart from the inside out, unraveling something fundamental within him. But he held on, because he understood it. Not in the way the aliens did, with equations and containment models, but instinctively. Viscerally, the energy wasn't chaos. It was structure. It had patterns, rhythms. And if he focused, if he felt it, he could guide it. The plasma bolt began to change. What had once been a violent, uncontrolled force started to stabilize. Its erratic surges smoothed into steady pulses, its blinding light condensing into a more defined shape. In Elias's hand, the impossible became something ordered. The observers detected the shift immediately. The energy is being reorganized. By what mechanism? Unknown. There is no technological interface. Then it must be biological. A pause. That is not possible. Elias exhaled slowly. The energy responded. It shrank, compressing inward, folding into itself until what had once been a catastrophic plasma weapon became a concentrated sphere of light no larger than a stone. He looked at it. Then, with a small flick of his wrist, he tossed it upward. The sphere rose into the sky, glowing softly now, harmless. Contained. Silence filled the observation vessel. For the first time in their recorded history, the alien observers did not know how to proceed. Their entire understanding of the universe had been built on one fundamental truth. Everything has limits. Energy requires containment. Biology has thresholds. No organism can directly manipulate raw plasma without external tools. And yet, the human had done exactly that. We must analyze this further, one observer transmitted. Agreed. Prepare a second test. Increase output. No, the transmission cut through the collective like a fracture. It came from one of their oldest members, a being who had observed countless civilizations rise and fall. Further escalation may not yield understanding, the elder transmitted. It may only confirm our ignorance. A rare sentiment, but not an incorrect one. Below, Elias stood alone once more. The sky was calm again, as if nothing had happened. But he knew they were still watching. He could feel them, not physically, but in that same way he had felt the plasma. A presence. A pattern just beyond direct perception. He looked up. Are you done? He asked. The observers detected the vocalization. They translated it instantly, and for a moment, just a moment, they hesitated. The subject is aware of our presence. That should not be possible. Nothing about this is possible anymore. Elias crossed his arms. If you're going to throw another one of those, he called out, maybe try something new this time. There was no fear in his voice. No uncertainty, just expectation. Within the vessel, the observers reached a conclusion. Not about the human, but about themselves. For eons, they had believed they understood the boundaries of existence. They had mapped the laws of physics, cataloged the behaviors of countless species, and reduced the universe to a system of predictable rules. But those rules were not absolute. They were incomplete. We have made an error, one observer admitted. Correction. We have made many. The human does not break the laws of the universe. Then what does he do? A pause. Then, he operates beyond our understanding of them. The elder observer transmitted one final directive. End the experiment. The sky above Elias shimmered. For a brief moment, the outline of the observation vessel became visible, a vast, geometric structure bending space around it. Then, slowly, it began to fade. Elias watched them go. He wasn't surprised. They had gotten what they came for. Or maybe, they had gotten something they hadn't expected. As the last traces of their presence vanished, Elias looked down at his hand. For a moment, faint traces of light flickered across his skin, echoes of the energy he had held. Then they faded, gone, as if it had never happened. But Elias knew better, because the truth wasn't that he had caught a plasma bolt. The truth was much simpler. He had learned how to listen. And somewhere, far beyond his world, a species that had once believed itself to be beyond limitation was now beginning to question everything. For the first time in their existence, they had witnessed something greater than their understanding. And it terrified them, because if a human could do the impossible, then perhaps, there were no limits at all. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more cinematic science fiction stories.